latest foldable phone from Samsung is finally here. Launched alongside a new flip phone, the Galaxy Z Fold 3 that I have with me is technically the 4th gen foldable phone from the company. Here, besides the regular feature upgrades, that number, the 4th gen of it all, is quite a big deal, which goes on to show how just confident Samsung is on this form factor and the company's proof towards making foldables mainstream. Now, because last year's Z Fold 2 had a pretty well-received design, Samsung hasn't worked much to bring about any significant change on the Fold 3 in this regard, except maybe making it a couple of millimeters thinner. But more importantly, the company has managed to bring down the weight from 282 grams to just 271 grams. While that still does not compare against a regular smartphone, I got used to its heft almost instantaneously, especially when holding it unfolded. And on top of this, the Z Fold 3 sneaks in IPX8 water resistance as well, making it the only foldable phone in the market to feature an official IP rating. With all that intricate engineering that's gone into building this phone, I am honestly surprised as to how Samsung was able to achieve this feat. So yeah, it's clear that durability was one of the key areas the company focused on when designing the Z Fold 3. Now, compared to its predecessor, the Hideaway Hinge and the frame here enjoy armored aluminium material that promises 10% better sturdiness too. Additionally, both the cover display and the back are now protected by Corning's Gorilla Glass Victus. Okay, moving on, the Galaxy Z Fold 3 has been tested to last through up to 200,000 folds like the one before it as well. To put that into context, averaging 100 folds and unfolds a day, this hinge is engineered to last you well over 5 years. Here, Samsung lets you choose from 3 color options: Phantom Green, Phantom Black, and Phantom Silver. And I've got to say that I'm really digging this elegantly subtle greenish hue on the Phantom Green color variant that I have with me. Likewise, because of its similar dimensions to the Galaxy Z Fold 2, the display size has remained the same here. You're getting a 6.2 inches screen on the front that unfolds to a 7.6 inches dynamic AMOLED display. However, Samsung has listened to our feedback about the continuity error on the Galaxy Z Fold 2 because of its mismatched refresh rate between the two screens. Here, the Z Fold 3 finally implements a 120Hz refresh rate on both displays. While the main display uses an LTPO backplane with a variable refresh rate between 10 and 120Hz, the cover screen skips this lavishness for a traditional AMOLED panel that can circle between 60 and 120Hz depending on the screen's content. Now, as expected, the colors and contrast levels from a Samsung-made OLED display are unquestionably top-notch, and during my brief time with this phone, I've had no issue with it so far. Now, since a foldable phone quite literally hinges onto the tenacity of a flexible display, ensuring its reliability and tip-top endurance is very crucial. So keeping that in mind, Samsung says that it has optimized the panel structure and used a different kind of protective film on the Z Fold 3, all of which cumulatively deliver 80% superior durability compared to Fold 2's main display from last year. To compare, the screen layer arrangement on the Fold 2 went AMOLED panel, ultra-thin glass protective layer, and a factory-applied screen protector. Well, things aren't that different on the Fold 3, but according to the company, it has switched from TPU to PET screen protector here. Mostly known for its scratch-resistant properties, I believe Samsung's decision to ditch TPU in favor of PET also has something to do with the phone's S Pen support. Yes, you heard that right. The Galaxy Z Fold 3 is also the first foldable phone that enables stylus input. Since TPU material is comparatively softer, that makes for a relatively worse surface to write on. Additionally, the difference between the two is quite noticeable, as Fold 3's main display does not feel nearly as plasticky as the one on the Fold 2. Still, because the ultra-thin glass on this phone is nowhere near as strong as regular glass, Samsung has had to develop an entirely different S Pen just for the Fold 3. The S Pen Fold Edition is a Bluetooth-free stylus with an excellent input latency that feels closer to 9 milliseconds like on the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, although don't quote me on that just yet. There's also a larger S Pen Pro, which is a Bluetooth-enabled active stylus with support for air gestures. Regardless, one interesting thing that I discovered is that the Z Fold 3 explicitly will not let you use a stylus other than the S Pen Pro and the S Pen Fold edition on its main display. Trying it out with the Galaxy Tab S7 FE stylus, we were greeted with a pop-up message warning us against doing so. Okay, moving on. Do you feel something missing when looking at this screen? Well, nabbing another world's first title to its name, the Galaxy Z Fold 3 brings an under-display camera as well. To note, there are already a couple of commercially available phones with under-display camera, but this is the first foldable phone to include one. Sadly, like most of the under-display cameras, Samsung's first take on this tech leaves much to be desired. From the couple of photos that I have managed to take, I've found that this 4-megapixel sensor captures images with incredibly low details. But since this is not a retail unit and is not running on the latest software, I will have to test it more. Nevertheless, the under-display camera is practically invisible when there's something dark occupying the screen. Besides, I observed it to sort of kind of blend away when looking at the phone upright, just like the crease in the middle of the screen. On the back, it has left the remaining camera arrangement untouched from the Galaxy Z Fold 2. This consists of a trio of 2-megapixel sensors at the back, including OIS support across all 3 lenses. For visible differentiation, the Fold 3 incorporates an oblong-shaped camera module, which is quite unique for a Samsung phone. Similarly, the cover display hosts a 10-megapixel selfie shooter. Now, judging from the few samples I've taken so far, the photos bear a classic Samsung tag with punchy colors and plenty of details. Okay, apart from the hardware marvel, this relatively novel smartphone form factor requires an equally competent software to go along with it. Thankfully, Samsung has stepped up its software game big time. According to the company, 57 out of top 100 apps have been optimized to utilize Fold 3's main display to the fullest, including the likes of YouTube, Spotify, Microsoft Office, TikTok, etc. Even Instagram can now go full screen here. Also, One UI 3.1 embeds one-handed usability design principles exceptionally well. It makes the most out of the large screen real estate by letting you open up to 3 apps at a time on top of the floating windows. Flex mode is yet another ingenious software feature that's seen a healthy upgrade here. This was only available in select system apps like Camera on the Fold 2, whereas the One UI 3.1 now lets you turn it on even for third-party apps. Anyway, powering the Galaxy Z Fold 3 is Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset paired with 12GB of LPDDR5 RAM and either 256 or 512GB of UFS 3.1 storage. So the performance standard is not going to be a problem here. In terms of audio, there's a dual stereo speaker setup with Dolby Atmos support. It can get plenty loud with a fair amount of details as well. Now, remember how I praised Samsung for being able to bring down the phone's weight? Yeah, that's a direct result of the smaller battery too. Compared to the 4500 mAh cell on the Galaxy Z Fold 2, the Fold 3 has a slightly smaller 4400 mAh battery. The charging standard remains the same at 25-watt wired, 11-watt wireless, and 4.5-watt reverse charging though. So guys, that was it for my initial impressions of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. I'll also be coming up with its full review, and look out for our video on the Galaxy Z Flip 3, Watch 4 series and the Galaxy Buds 2 as well. Saying this, I am Pratima and I will see you on the next one pretty soon.